Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you so much for your support and for supporting my voice. Ladies and gentlemen, every single day on social media, you have this unholy alliance, which is a really feeble, pathetic union of opposing sides politically, or you have this alliance of Bush-era Republicans, Mitt Romney Republicans, the good Republicans, who don't like Trump's personality, joining forces with other imbeciles in the Democratic Party. And you get this, the hilarious part is that both the Bush-era Republicans and the Democrats who accept them with open arms don't realize that there's this hilarious symbiotic relationship that will just lead to 8 years of President Trump because they're ignorant as to why anyone would vote for President Trump. They think that Trump is an anomaly. He worked with Russia and he doesn't really have support. And the polls show that he's really losing support among Republicans, and he might even lose Iowa. And that 1,000-boat flotilla in Jacksonville for Trump's birthday, well, that's not scientific. That's not a poll of mostly Democratic voters and Republicans in name only or never Trumpers. That's just anecdotal evidence. That doesn't mean anything. Or the 1 million people that signed up, that registered to hear President Trump speak. Well, that doesn't mean anything at all. You know, everyone likes Biden because, he's going to win. First of all, hello, Enrique. President Trump has a flotilla of 1,000 boats for his birthday. Biden couldn't even get a bed of kelp or seaweed or a floating piece of plywood or a raft. Rafts for Biden. He couldn't even get, You're talking about could Biden fill a stadium? Could Biden get 1 million people to sign up to hear him speak? Can people actually understand what he says when he's speaking? That's actually the big question. But there's zero enthusiasm, and they might not even get I'm not making a prediction about the popular vote. I'm telling you they might not get the popular vote. I'm not sure about that. Usually, I go all in. I'm telling you Hillary Clinton's going to win. I mean, chas v'shalom. That's Hebrew for God forbid. I'm telling you President Trump's going to win. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be very, very interesting to see people react to President Trump winning again, especially after you have these these online ads. So I'm not on Twitter. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. If you see anyone impersonating me, they're breaking the law. So please notify and report them to Twitter. Take screenshots. You can show Twitter the screenshots if you'd like. And it's every day there are different Republican organizations. You can look them up. And they pretend to speak for the good Republicans. And then you get the liberals and the progressives who are like, why don't the Republicans just stand up to Trump? These are people who don't. This is a really interesting phenomenon. I know why Democrats vote Democrat. I know why people would vote for Biden. They think climate change is the biggest issue on the planet. They think it's basically, an issue pertaining to the future of the planet, yet there's no legislation that they've passed. No major climate change. Tell me a transformative piece of legislation that Democrats have passed in the House. I said legislation, not a resolution. A resolution is a public relations stunt. But you look and it's interesting too, because Democrats, when you look at the Democratic Party philosophy on politics and government, they're very, very trusting of state power and of government, except when President Trump is in the executive branch. So, and except when William Barr is Attorney General, and except when Richard Grenell is is ODNI chief, and except when John Ratcliffe is the ODNI chief. They're very trusting of government, very trusting of government. They love government, except when they're not in power, then they don't like government. Then there have to be people who speak out against Trump's horrible abuse of power. But it's really, really interesting to see these relics, these fossils, these dinosaurs within the Republican Party. I'm not a Republican. I'm not Democrat. I don't care about either political party. Like, I'm voting for President Trump because he is unique. And nobody really understands why he's unique. He is reversing American foreign policy. He is single-handedly reversing American foreign policy. He's signing peace deals that nobody talks about. He's removing soldiers from never-ending counterinsurgency conflict, or he's paving the way to remove them, even removing them from Germany, where there is no conflict there, obviously, but still, you have to ask yourself, well, why are we all over the world? Why? And so he's reversing U.S. foreign policy, and he's changing the paradigm of American foreign policy. He has stated we shouldn't be the world police. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. Okay, Democrats and Bush-era Republicans don't think that's a good thing. Enrique Crespo. You can know that we minorities will vote for Trump. They just won't say it. We get bullied. The House will be ours too. God willing, of course, Senate too. Enrique Crespo, thank you. In fact, Enrique, there was actually a Politico article the other day that said that Biden is doing worse than Clinton among Hispanics and Latinos. Among Hispanic Americans and Latinos, Enrique, Biden's doing worse than Clinton, which is one reason that everyone should share my Times of Israel article, Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. And Luke St. Martin. I've been losing weight, so I don't know what people are talking about. Luke St. Martin, thank you. And share my article in the Huffington Post. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. So, Enrique, this is actually a really, really interesting, Enrique Crespo, thank you. It's actually a really, really interesting article. You know what? Let me find it. Biden was with Hispanic. Hispanic and Latino voters are going to be the biggest, the biggest non-white voting bloc for the Democrats in 2020. And this is Biden's doing worse, and President Trump is doing better, and he got almost 30%. So you're looking at, if Trump gets 35%, let's say he gets 33% of the Latino and Hispanic vote in the United States of America, he could get the popular vote. He got 28%. He got 28% in 2016 of the Hispanic Americans and Latinos who voted. So how groups voted. So if you look, 28% of Hispanic voters voted for President Trump in 2016. 28%. 27% of Asian Americans. It says 8% of African Americans, but 14% of Black and African American men voted for President Trump. So that also, I believe, will increase. But if you have 30% of Hispanic and Latino voters, you're looking at the popular vote, especially if you don't have Gary Johnson taking 4.5 million votes. Everyone talks about, the Russian Facebook ads, the Twitter bots. Oh my God, Jill Stein. Jill Stein got like a million and a half voters. Gary Johnson got around 4.5 million voters. And most of those people are going to vote Trump because President Trump is not really an establishment Republican. He's not at all. That's the point. This is an article in CNN. Biden is doing worse than Clinton among Hispanic voters. That's not good for Democrats. And that's one reason they're going to jettison Biden very quickly. So you have here, if you look, this is really interesting. Biden holds a 58 to 33% lead among Hispanic registered voters. Clinton had a 61 to 23% lead, and then it was closer to 30% of Hispanic voters who voted for President Trump. So the polls were not accurate. Now, if the polls show that 33% of Hispanic voters are choosing Trump, it could be 37, 38%. If it's 40%, you could pretty much kiss the Democratic Party goodbye. I mean, Tom, many Latinos are more conservative than most people assume, and they're also often against. Yeah, that's true. Tom, thank you. That's true. They're more conservative, more traditional, oftentimes more religious, and the conservative movement. I don't want to say Republican, but conservative values or politics is growing among minority groups. So, Tom, thank you. Yeah, that's a great point. But again, Tom, Enrique, everybody here, what they're doing is the following. They're setting the stage for when they lose again to say, oh my God, we didn't lose. We actually didn't lose. What happened was, we didn't lose because we were on our way to winning. And so something really bizarre took place. Something bizarre, and Trump couldn't have won again, and it's pretty unbelievable. 2024, ladies and gentlemen, 2020, I'm telling you President Trump's going to win, and I'm telling you Hillary Clinton's going to run or be nominee, and she'll lose again. She will lose again, and it'll be the biggest political call of all time. They're not going with Biden. So if they're not going to go with Biden, you have to ask yourself, did Michael Bloomberg run to help Biden or to help Clinton? It's a political machine. And then everyone's going to give their theories when it happens. Oh, my God, Valerie Rogers. Americans are tired of all the chaos. That's true. Paul 48, hello. That's true. Aria Lee, hello. I agree with you. But the interesting thing is that Democrats look at Bush-era Republicans, Mitt Romney Republicans, Jeff Flake Republicans, John McCain Republicans, and they say, oh my God, these are such good conservatives. These are wonderful conservatives. They dislike Trump like we do. The only thing that binds them is foreign policy. That's really the only thing that binds them. They both want an interventionist foreign policy. That's what binds them. But that's exactly why President Trump won. That's exactly why he's going to win again. That's exactly why he's going to win again. And when he wins again, he could possibly be in line for another Supreme Court pick, which would be pretty much the end of the Democratic Party. You would have, let's see. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you have, let's see. You have a 5-4 Supreme Court now. You'd have a 6-3 Supreme Court if there's another Supreme Court vacancy. If I'm correct, let me know if I'm wrong on this. I believe I'm correct. But you have a you have one Gorsuch, Thomas, Kavanaugh, Roberts, Alito. But anyway, so it's interesting, like, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5-4 Supreme Court. Roberts, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh. Now, imagine the absolute apoplectic, hysterical, rabid, seething, fuming reaction if Trump wins and he potentially gets another Supreme Court pick. Imagine. And it'll be all because media and Democrats never... You have to pretty much place them in the same category. There's no debate anymore in society. I mean, in liberal politics, there's no debate, and they have no desire to actually debate anything. Putin! Amy Coney Barrett will set the Dems here. Yes, I think you're right about that, Putin. And there's no way that they could. That is a huge. I think that she's going to be the next nominee if President Trump gets another nominee. Putin, thank you. Amy Coney Barrett, I think, would be. And as somebody who wants the Second Amendment protected, because I think the Second Amendment should be protected at all times, and the First Amendment, which is they want to do away with the first two amendments, Democrats. I think that would be a good thing, very good thing. Enrique Crespo, am I the only that thinks this all perfectly timed? The Russian hoax and pandemic. I'm sorry for multiple questions. I wouldn't say Enrique. I wouldn't say timed at all. I would say that. Well, the Mueller probe and the Russian nonsense. Yes, that was purchased The pandemic, that was, that happened, and that has nothing to do with President Trump. The economy tanking is not President Trump's fault. We gave the keys to the U.S. economy to immunologists. But I definitely would say that he was set up and framed by people who Clinton purchased the Steele dossier. And the CrowdStrike assessment under oath in the House, the CEO stated they have no concrete evidence. So, Enrique, thank you. Putin, thank you. Tom, Kiefaber, Tom. A law and order platform should help POTUS. Yeah, I agree with you on that. It worked for Nixon, the largest political landslide in modern history. I agree with you on that. And Democrats are losing. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. The very fact that they'll lose will be cataclysmic for them. I don't know whether it's going to be, it could be a close electoral college, and he gets the popular vote, President Trump. I don't see any way Democrats win, and I do think that's my prediction. I believe 100%. Well, it ain't going to be Biden. It'll be Hillary Clinton, and I will have made the biggest political call of all time, and I wrote about it in the Times of Israel and Huffington Post. But it'll be the biggest political call ever. Sam Jage! Tom, I agree with you on that. And he could even get Minnesota. Sam Jage, I don't see any of this insanity ending until people are held accountable. No, I agree with you also. Yeah, that's true. It's worrying to say the least. Sam, that's a great point, but I think that's tied to political momentum and the media. Once the media realizes that the Democrats aren't going to get them to where they want to go. See, when they lose again, they're going to lose a great deal of the momentum, a great deal of the influence. Democrats will lose a great deal of the influence they had on social media, in cable news. Because what are the pundits on CNN and MSNBC? What are the journalists at the Washington Post and New York Times? What on earth are they going to say? They can't say Russia stole the election. Okay. They can't harp on mail-in ballots because, they tried to focus on that. And it's like, what are they going to say? They can't, they don't have an excuse lined up yet. They're probably Sam and Tom and Enrique and everybody here. Putin, hello. I think that, they probably have an excuse lined up, but it'll be utter pandemonium. Doug Barnett, the largest is 1984, 49 states. That's right. Mondale, got Minnesota, right? I believe that was his home state. So Mondale got Minnesota. Largest is 1984, 49 states. Yep. That was, there was pretty much no way Democrats, this is why they love Bill and Hillary so much. This is why they love Bill and Hillary so much, because you had Jimmy Carter and then Mondale and Ferraro, which were I forgot if it was I think that he won, let's see, a 1980 electoral college. Let's look at this. 1980 electoral college map. $270 to win. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. So, oh, my God. Dang. So this was like, he got 489 electoral college votes. Reagan over Jimmy Carter. Oh, my God. He won the popular vote by almost 8 million 8 million votes. Over 8 million votes. Oh my God. This was not close at all. So no wonder they worship Bill and Hillary. Bill and Hillary made them relevant again. That's the thing. Bill and Hillary made them relevant again. My God. Carter just lost. Complete landslide. Flying Fox Fruits! Nice to see AHA. Make sure to see my new video. Thank you, Flying Fox Fruits will do. Flying Fox Fruits! Flying Fox Fruits! So you look at the Electoral College in 80 and 84, and you then realize, okay, this is why they worship the Clintons. Because the Clintons brought back the Democratic Party, made them relevant again. Made them relevant. And the interesting thing, though, is that the pulse of the country, Democrats do not have the pulse of the country. They don't. They're so desperate at attaining political power and influence. They're so desperate. Everyone sees what they're doing. So it's just basically, oh yeah, no, I agree, Doug. The age of that was 1980, 84 was much worse. Only 2,500 votes. Doug, that's right. 84 was, I think he only got one. The Democrats got one state, right? Yeah, you brought that up. I think it was Minnesota. But that's the thing. I think that there's no way that Democrats win. What they're doing is they want to peak. They want to they don't want to really show their cards until they have to. The convention will be Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton will be nominee. She's the only chance they have. Now, I will say this. Clinton could become president. I give her a 20% chance, 20% chance, if President Trump makes mistakes here and there. But I don't think he will. I think that he understands how to win because he's won. I think that they're just waiting. You see, the August convention. So DNC August. And the interesting, I'm the only person who's obsessed over this. No, people don't really care. They don't care. They don't care. It's August convention. This is what I always get when I'm telling people. When I tell people, I'm like, person on the street corner, it's Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. I don't care. Whatever. It's Biden. Come on. 2020 Democratic Convention, August 17th to the 20th. August 18th, that's when the 19th Amendment was ratified. They're going to go with basement Botox Biden, the groper in chief? I don't think so. And then my God, he's waiting. He is waiting for because you know why he's taking so long? Because Hillary Clinton hasn't chosen the vice president pick yet. Clinton hasn't chosen the vice presidential pick yet. So this is hilarious. So President Trump, it's like party time. Just 2 months until the 2020 Democratic National Convention, but what form will it take? Massachusetts Democrats may skip National Convention to coronate Joe Biden. If they do it via online voting, Madam Secretary, it's like a million times easier for even, let's just assume it's an actual political party that's running on meritocracy. Don't you love the mask that's just dangling down from his ear? I love that. It's such a great look. He looks like an exhumed body. The man, he's not, this ain't happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. Doug! HM as far right as it goes, Trump all the way. Can you understand? I would rather have Hillary than Bernie. It's a matter of communism. I do understand that. I will say that I would choose Bernie over Hillary, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to choose either of them. I wouldn't want to even touch. I wouldn't want to be associated with either of them, just because Bernie is pretty much a doormat of the Democratic Party. So whatever I thought he was, which wasn't, by the way, like, ladies and gentlemen, Doug, the whole communist socialist thing, that is a 2020 spin on it. Arya Lee! Hello, Arya. Thank you. It works. Thank you, Arya. Thank you. That, Bernie Sanders is a lot of things, very disappointing in every single way, but he wasn't the whole like communist socialist, that whole thing. That's a new marketing push. That was never, even though, well, I don't know. Doug, thank you. At least in 2016 he wasn't. Maybe in 2020 it's more towards that frame of reference. Putin. Great new book by Dinesh D'Souza, United States of Socialism. Dinesh D'Souza is great. He's great. Putin, thank you. Doug, I do understand what you're talking about, though. But I think it would probably be the same. You'd probably get... It's funny. When I was on the left, I was like, Clinton and Trump are the same. But now it's like Clinton and Bernie are probably the same. Or Bernie is closer to Clinton than I ever thought he would be. So, Arya, thank you. Putin. Dinesh D'Souza, yeah, he got a raw deal. Very raw deal. Doug, thank you. Thank you, Doug. Yeah, it's interesting. Like in 2016, when I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, and the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, he wasn't about socialism. He actually made it a point. He barely talked about democratic socialism. Barely. And it was always about making capitalism work better. Rose Twitter never existed. So it's interesting. It's like you look at what took over, who took over Bernie's movement, and then it became a giant bowel movement, and then Elizabeth Warren just split it into two. Enjoy the visuals. Then you had this push for Medicare for all, which is a noble idea if it's feasible, but it's not feasible in the United States of America, the third most populous country in the world, 320 million Americans. Then they say, well, we got a never-ending conflict. And yeah, that's why you don't vote Democrat, because the Democrats want to continue these never-ending conflicts. And Trump wants to end them. But it's all about his personality. They think that they can win again because they almost won last time and they focused on the same playbook. So they're going to just run the ball and not throw when they have to throw. Doug! H.A. asked about your regret for Bernie. Yes, I do regret it. I regret every article I ever wrote. And it's sad to say because... It's really sad to say because I do think that he's a good person. But if I could go back in time, I would devote all that energy to President Trump. And by the way, the Huffington Post at that point was like all good. You could, well, I don't know. You could actually talk about why Trump was good back then, from the perspective of an anti-war perspective. Nowadays, they would never publish anything like that. But Doug Barnard, thank you. Saved by grace. I should have listened to you. You were right about the message boards. Trump is actually a false prophet. I should have listened to you. You were right about the message board. Trump is actually a false prophet. Well, I don't think that he ever fancied himself to be a prophet, but the message boards are bad. Don't ever listen to message boards about anything. Saved by grace. Yeah, the message boards, message boards generally are bad for any type of advice or discussion. It's interesting. This is not a message board. This is a chat. So you have like-minded people in the same place, and we're having a great. The live streams on this channel are really fantastic because nobody's arguing. And I have, Quick Draw, Luke St. Martin, and the regulator, Eric H526. And they regulate, and they do what they have to do. And anyone who, regulators, and anyone that gets out of line, it's like, within 2 seconds timeout or, kicked out or whatever. And then very rarely I have to look, and I'm like, okay. But we're like, this is an enjoyable, like the two live streams I have every evening. And then I have an upload every morning. And then I have a couple uploads on H.A. Goodwin's other channel. But the two live streams are enjoyable. No stress. They're fun. We have like-minded people or people from all different backgrounds or ideologies. But, we're all bound by our love and admiration for the Democratic Party and Madam Secretary and media. But if you go on social media or like Reddit or Twitter or Facebook, it's the opposite of real life. In real life, nobody's going to yell at you from across the street. I just want to let you know I disagree with you. No one's going to say that. No one is going to yell at people they don't know. Like, very rarely in life, almost never, do you have, I should say very rarely do you have confrontations with people that you don't know. Very rarely. That just, you don't need, like, the average person just doesn't act that way. Arya Lee! Well, Google allow this. Love you, H.A., but you rock. And all of you in this chat love you all. Arya, thank you so very much. That's a beautiful sentiment. That's a beautiful sentiment. Thank you. I'm sure that is not only within the guidelines, that's actually what the guidelines should be about. Thank you. Thank you, Arya, for always watching. But this is why Democrats will take social media with them into a cauldron of angst and fury and hysterical madness. They have people who have spent every waking hour, every single second of their lives mocking and insulting and denigrating and disparaging and trying to undermine Trump and Trump supporters. And my God almighty, when he wins again, it's going to be fantastic. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This is why, like, I don't get, you know what, from here on out, like, I'm just going to relax. Even if, like, let's say a pundit on the left, like, tries to attack me or insult me, maybe on H.A. Goodman's other channel I'll respond, maybe. Probably not. Just going to fly low. Just, just sing the lofty praises of Madam Secretary. God bless her. Hope she will run again, and hope she just runs a fantastic campaign, better than last time when she was in Arizona a week before the election. But when they lose again, because with Biden, they do not get the popular vote. With Clinton, I think they still probably will get the popular vote. Who knows? If they don't get the popular vote, and if Clinton runs, and when Clinton runs, not if, when Madam Secretary becomes nominee, and if they don't get the popular vote, it's pretty much the end. Then what Trump needs to do is cultivate Ivanka or Donald Trump Jr. Because I'm voting for a Trump. Do you understand? I'm voting for a Trump. I do not like, and that's the thing. They don't get. See, for every, this is, what's the law of physics? Let's see, which law of physics? Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. But in American politics, for every venomous, hysterical, apoplectic allegation or cauldron of contempt utilized to disparage Trump, there's an equal and opposite reaction, which is that the people who wouldn't even vote for Trump are like, they're going after him, and I don't like his personality, but it's not fair what they're doing. And then you have people who have like the 1,000-boat flotilla, compared to Biden's one dinghy and drifting plywood. And and tumbleweed that like fell into a river. They're not going with Biden. They're not going with Biden. Do you understand? They're not going with Biden. It ain't happening. Soto, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that at all. It's unfortunate. A lot of these things, ladies and gentlemen, like, you got to understand, this is the last effort of media, Democrats. This is the last. They don't realize that. They think that this is the beginning of a political paradigm. They don't realize this is the end of a political paradigm. This is the absolute end of a political paradigm. They don't see it. They think they run the show, but it's like, they're like a football coach that got to the playoffs 2 years in a row and they think they have the best team and they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're not even going to make the playoffs this year. So all the venom they spew, the reaction is more loyalty or more energy and enthusiasm for President Trump. They don't see that. They don't understand that too, and they think that the interesting thing is Hollywood has never really been entertainers. You could see like, okay, but I'm talking about since then, but generally, historically, entertainers don't usually, or athletes don't usually, very few have made an impact, a political impact. And those are the special, you could look back, Jack Johnson, obviously Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, but it's few and far between. Entertainers generally they haven't really made a huge impact in terms of politics. So Democrats and media with their obsession about what Hollywood celebrities think. And these are celebrities, by the way, most of whom were like popular in the 90s. They really they're household names because they were popular in the 90s when there was if you were popular before the internet, you're going to be like, people will remember your name just by virtue of the fact that, life was different. Can you name any leading actors now? I can't really. I'm in my 40s. I can't even really name leading actors or actresses. Can you name the top bands? I can't. Maybe I'm like totally removed from society. I don't think I am, but I mean, I can kind of name some bands, kind of name some artists. I mean, I can name, but I'm talking about recent. I'm not talking about like artists that were popular before the internet. So the notion that Hollywood or media or late night, what do I care what these late night talk show hosts have to say about anything political? Doug! H.A., the reason Trump is winning is because a lot of people are not Republican. It's true. They are conservative. The normal Democrat will never vote crazy left. That's true. The last part of your sentence, I agree with everything you said, or conservative leaning on certain issues. Like, for me, it's the Second Amendment. But I would say that the average Democrat, let's put it this way. The average Democrat will utilize the far left. The Democratic Party will utilize the far left, but I think that Democrats, if told to by media and the political party, would actually vote far left. Perhaps not most, but a great many would. More so than Republicans voting in the opposite direction. Doug, thank you. Because Democrats run on pure groupthink. Pure groupthink. David the Great. Hope you're having a good night. Thank you, David the Great. Thank you. Yes, very good night. Thank you. It is going to be a complete... it's going to be stunning. And the first surprise will be Joe Biden not becoming nominee. That will be the first surprise. The second surprise will be losing again. Then, Joe Biden reacts to, new allegations against Trump. This is not a story. Hearsay and gossip against Trump, they are now what they've done. They're going ahead and they're saying, here's some gossip about Trump. How you give us a reaction? It's how is that a news event? That never happened before. That never happened before in American politics. And then they still love the polls. Oh my God, the polls say this. So what? These are not scientific. There's nothing scientific about these polls. Nothing. The presidential polls, there's nothing scientific about. Nothing. So... Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right after this segment. About 10 minutes after, I'll have a segment up. And every morning I'll have my morning, late afternoon. Very likely it'll be late afternoon your time if you're watching. I have my uploads, and then that'll be the schedule for, I have my upload, about 12 or 1 p.m. Pacific or so. Then I'll have my live streams, 2 of them, early evening Pacific and then late around this time. And then, of course, I have H.A. Goodman's other channel, so subscribe to that. That is below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you as always. Check out, when you have a moment, my new and revamped pinned comment. It's pretty awesome. Give me your thoughts below, people. Thank you so very much. Have a blessed, safe evening. And I will see you tomorrow. To my super chat, thank you, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin. Thanks for being amazing moderators. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Aria Lee! Love and peace to all. God bless you all. God bless you, Aria. Thank you so very much.